So how does a man with no education, poor health, and basically no status become one of the most influential figures of his time? That's the incredible, almost unbelievable story we're diving into today. The life of St.André Bessette of Montreal, a simple doorkeeper who became a world-renowned saint.
And the story kicks off with his wild, prophetic note. When Alfred Bessette wanted to join the Congregation of Holy Cross, this was the letter of recommendation sent with him. I am sending you a saint. I mean, can you imagine the weight of that? What on earth did his superior see in this frail young man that nobody else did? This one sentence just sets the stage for everything that's about to happen.
And yeah, that quote really gets right to the heart of it. We're about to unpack the central mystery of his life, which is this staggering contrast between his official job, a humble doorkeeper, and who he became, the miracle man of Montreal.
This just lays it all out, side by side. The contrast is stunning, right? On one hand, you've got who the world saw, Alfred Bessette, an orphan, uneducated, chronically sick, working as a college doorkeeper. And on the other hand, you have who he became, St.André, the miracle man, the guy who founded a massive basilica and Canada's very first male saint. It's the ultimate underdog story for sure.
Okay, so to really get how incredible his journey was, you gotta understand where he started from. And trust me, the odds were completely and totally stacked against him from the day he was born.
I mean, just look at this list. He was an orphan by the time he was 12, just left to fend for himself. On top of that, he had these awful, chronic stomach problems that basically left him weak for his entire life. And because he was always so sick, he never really got a formal education. He could barely even read. By any normal measure, his future looked pretty bleak.
And yet, somehow, he found his calling in religious life. But even there, the role they gave him, it was about as humble as you can get. And this wasn't just some temporary post to start out. This became his life's work for 40 years.
So in 1870, he gets his official assignment, porter, doorkeeper. His duties were super simple. Answer the door, welcome visitors, run some errands. You know, a seemingly tiny, insignificant role in a big, busy college. But that spot, right by the door, it would become the center of his entire world.
And I just love this quote from him. It says so much, right? You can just hear the humility, but also a bit of a witty twinkle in his eye. There's no complaining, no feeling sorry for himself, just a simple, well, they showed me the door, so I stayed there. He completely embraced his little corner of the world. So you're probably wondering, what was the secret sauce here? What was going on in his heart and soul at that door? Well, it all boiled down to one thing, a really powerful and really simple devotion to Saint Joseph. It wasn't some complex theology, it was just this deep, trusting, childlike faith. For him, that was the source of everything.
And this, right here, is where the story just explodes. That simple door at the college, slowly but surely, it started to transform. It became a place of hope, and according to thousands and thousands of reports, a place of incredible healing. And get this, his method, if you can even call it that, was so disarmingly simple. No big show, no grand ceremony. He'd just welcome the sick people who came to his door. He'd pray with them, always to St. Joseph, and then he'd rub a little oil on them from a lamp that was always burning in front of a statue of Joseph. That was it. So as you can imagine, his reputation started to grow. But as it did, he just constantly deflected any credit. He never saw himself as the healer. He saw himself as nothing more than the instrument. This quote just captures it perfectly. He really believed he was just a tool being used by a power way bigger than himself.
Yep, he was always redirecting people. Every single time somebody tried to thank him for healing, he would point them away from himself and towards his spiritual source. His message was always the same. Don't thank me. Go to Joseph.
Okay, so after 40 years of this ministry at the door, what's the legacy? What's the long-term impact? Well, it was both deeply spiritual and, believe it or not, incredibly physical. I mean, he literally left his mark on the Montreal skyline. It all started with this little dream he had to build a small chapel to honor St. Joseph. And with just donations from visitors and literally the spare change he made giving students haircuts for nickels, that dream started to grow and grow and grow. Today, the St. Joseph's Oratory is one of the biggest basilicas in the entire world, a massive testament built from a humble doorkeeper's faith. And if you still need to grasp his impact on people, just look at this number, 1 million. When Brother André died in 1937, over 1 million people lined up in the freezing Montreal winter to pay their respects.
Just think about that for a second. 1 million people for a doorkeeper.
And as you might expect, the official recognition from the Catholic Church eventually followed over the decades. He was beatified in 1982, and then in 2010, officially declared a saint, making that prophecy from that very first letter all those years ago finally come true.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Why does the story of a doorkeeper from a century ago still resonate so much today? Well, I think it all comes down to the quiet and often overlooked power of humility.
I mean, it's really no surprise who he became the patron saint for, is it? The brokenhearted, the sick, and caregivers. These are the very people he spent his entire life serving, one by one, at that little door. His legacy is defined by the people he helped.
At the end of the day, his life is this powerful lesson for all of us. It teaches us that true greatness, true holiness, it isn't found in power or intelligence or fancy titles. It's found in the simple yes to whatever small, humble task is put in front of us and doing it with a huge amount of love.
And that leaves us with something to really think about. In a world that so often values fame and noise and big achievements, Brother André's story forces us to stop and ask, what is the hidden power of a humble life?